Welcome to Conservation Biology. I'm going to ask you to tell me about you in the discussion on the next page. So I'll start by telling you a little bit about me. I worked in the biology department at Mount SAC for 34 years before I retired in 2019, but I still teach this class because I'm passionate about it. When the science building was completed, I was asked to put some of my images on the walls to brighten up the building. So I printed and mounted a number of images of endangered species and endangered habitats. I had fun with the project, and I really enjoy watching students look at the images and read the informational plaques below the images. One of the things the department did for me when I retired was to dedicate the hall with my images as a Sherry Schmidt gallery. The bottom picture was taken during the dedication ceremony. I was so surprised and honored that the department would do this for me. I also love to hike and camp. The upper left picture is a picture of me and three of my colleagues when we hiked into the Big Pine Basin of the Eastern Sierra. We were camped just below the Palisade Glaciers. I've been on several field trips with the biology club. There's a picture of me with the group in Anza Borrego, and then another picture when we were at Pinnacles National Park. I consider myself a conservation photographer, and my first international wildlife photography tour was to Brazil to photograph jaguars. It was an amazing trip. We had numerous jaguar sightings. I also had a chance to photograph a number of other neat birds and mammals while I was in the area. I did the trip with a guy named Roy Toft, who is also a conservation photographer. He's written a book on the Osa Peninsula in Costa Rica called Where the Rainforest Meets the Sea. And he's also a member of the International League of Conservation Photographers. He worked on a project on impacts the border wall between the US and Mexico has on wildlife, and that's one of the topics we'll be talking about in this course, and I will be using some of his images when I talk about that. I had a chance to go to the Arctic recently and photograph polar bears. We were very lucky. We had lots of polar bear sightings and spent quite a bit of time with this guy who we named Big Boy. We had a chance to photograph him several days in a row. We also photographed a number of different seabirds when we were on the trip. The picture on the left is me photographing this pair of Atlantic puffins that you see on the right. And in fact, one of the topics we'll be discussing is the impact of climate change on food chains in the Arctic. And we'll be talking about why birds like these puffins their populations are declining dramatically in the Arctic right now. I took that trip with Susie Esterhaus. She's involved with a number of conservation organizations. And you'll be doing a project on conservation organizations a little later in the course. And I actually found a number of the organizations from her website. But anyway, she works with the Cheetah Conservation Fund and actually worked with Lori Marker, who's the head of that, to produce a book called The Future of Cheetahs. My last trip was to East Africa, to Kenya, to photograph the wildebeest migration. And there you can see me in the top picture. We're just getting ready, the wildebeest are just getting ready to cross the Mara River. Absolutely amazing experience to watch these animals, massive numbers of animals cross this river to get to grazing areas in Kenya. I did that trip with Piper McKay. She's primarily a cultural photographer, but she also is a very good wildlife photographer. And one of the guides she uses is a good friend of hers who's from the Maasai tribe. And he's actually an excellent photographer. He's involved in conservation in East Africa, and he's doing lots of good things for his tribe. So anyway, a little preview to some of the things I've done. When you introduce yourself in the discussion, please give a lot of information about yourself, what you like to do, what you want to do in the future, things you've done that you're proud of, things you're interested in, because the more we know about each other, I think the better this class will be.